Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is so nice to be here tonight, and it is so nice. This is my first time leading services in this new seating configuration. I have to say I love it. I love being closer to all of you, and I love that we're in a circle, or somewhat of a circle, at least.
You can also sit with the teens if you want to move forward.
All
right.
So as we begin to welcome in Shabbat, I encourage you to turn to someone next to you and wish them a Shabbat Shalom. I am Rabbinic Intern George Altschuler. I am joined here by Cantor Toby Glaser and our music director, Jonathan Dimmick.
Welcome back, Jonathan.
Yeah, wonderful to have you back. As we get started, I'm wondering, is anyone here for the first time to Sherith Israel? Wonderful, yes, we were chatting earlier. Would you mind, I don't want to put you on the spot, but would you mind standing up and introducing yourself so we can all get to know you a little bit? He just learned that the Torah was given at Yosemite National Park. True facts. It's very true. Wonderful. So I would now like to invite up our congregational president, Judy Wexler, to offer some words of welcome.
Thank you, George. Welcome, everybody. You know, we come together every week in community for many things. We come together to pray. We come together to learn. We come together to greet our friends and to see what Challah Ruth has for us. And when I thought about our visiting rabbi for this weekend, it made me think about one of the things that I think is really an important strain at Sherith Israel, which is innovation and thinking about how do we look at contemporary issues, contemporary knowledge, how do we connect that with Judaism and how that, in a way that helps us live more, meaningful and full and flourishing lives. So I'm really interested to hear what he has to say. As I thought about a rabbi coming to talk about cannabis, I thought back to my first experience with it, when I first moved to California and sat there staring with my friends saying, do you feel anything? Or do you feel anything? And in all of the things that we talked about as possibilities, I don't think any of us would ever envision that we would have a weekend at synagogue talking about cannabis, or the change in the way it's become part of our culture. So welcome, everybody. It's a pleasure to see all of you and to be together in community with you. Thank you.
Wonderful.
How I feel about tefillah. You sit there praying and you think, do you feel anything? Do you feel anything?
That's deep, man. So I'd now like to invite up our teens if they are willing to light the candles.
Who wants to come up? All of you? Some of you? Everybody. All right. Who is match safe? You rolling up the sleeves. All right. You certified? Excellent. Go for Launched it. Don't hurt yourself, yeah. That's right. Let's see if we got something to see. Just do a quick change. Alright, let's bring in the light of Shabbat, everyone, and please lead us, Zachary. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של Shabbat. Amen. Thank you so much for bringing our light in, teens. Please take a seat.
And one of the benefits of having trouble with the match is that it makes the smell more potent. The smell of the lit match, which really just brings Shabbat out for me. So there's blessings in everything. We'll continue now with Shiru Ladonai, which can be found on page 13.
Shiru Ladonai, Shir Hadas, Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Shemo, Basrum Miyom Leyom Yeshuato, Sapru Vagoyim Kevodo, Bechol Ha'amim Nifleotav, Yigadol Adonai, Umeholal Meod, Norahu, Al Kol Elohim, Yadai, 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 Yadai,
The key word in the next psalm we will sing is romemu, which means to exalt, but it also means to elevate. So please join us in elevating the Shabbat spirit. Romemu is on page 17.
The last 3 lines of 17. This is a setting by Nava Tehillah. Our music director just had the privilege of actually being in Israel and seeing a service with Nava Tehillah, so thought we might honor them this evening and sing this setting of Romemu.
Romemu, Romemu, Romemu Adonai Eloheinu, והשתחוו לאדום רגליו קדוש הוא. רוממו, רוממו, רוממו אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו להר קודשו, כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו, כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו. רוממו, 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 רוממו אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו לאדום רגליו קדוש הוא. רוממו, רוממו, רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להדום רגליו קדוש הוא כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו 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 אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להדום רגליו קדוש הוא.
We continue now to welcome in Shabbat with Lachado D, which can be found on page 20.
לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה שמור וזכור בדיבורך איש מכל sorry אדוני אחד ושמו אחד ושמו תפארת ולתהילה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה התעוררי התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי 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 שדברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי כלה בואי כלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה.
We remain standing if we are able and continue on page 28 with the Barhu, our call to prayer.
So I thought I would start to introduce some of the amazing music from our band that's going to be joining us on December 10th, Nefesh Mountain. This is a beautiful piece. It's called I Want to Hear Somebody Pray. We're going to use it as our Barhu this evening. I want to hear somebody pray. I want to hear somebody pray. Down in the valley and over yonder, I want to hear somebody pray. One more time. I want to hear somebody pray. I want to hear somebody pray.
down in the valley and over yonder. I want to hear somebody pray. Baruch Hu et Adonai, HaMevorach leolam vaed. Baruch Adonai, HaMevorach leolam vaed. I want to hear somebody pray. I want to hear somebody pray. Down in the valley and over yonder, I want to hear, one more time, somebody pray. I want to hear somebody pray. I want to hear somebody pray. Down in the valley and over yonder, I want to hear somebody pray. Beautiful bluegrass Shabbat.
We continue by reading together on page 30. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time, and changes the seasons in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening.
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו. אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המריב ערבים.
In the place of Ahavat Olam, I want to share with you tonight a poem by the Sufi poet Rabia, translated by Daniel Ladinsky. It works. Would you come if someone called you by the wrong name? I wept for years. God did not enter my arms. Then one night I was told a secret. Perhaps the name you call God is not really God's. Maybe it is just an alias. I thought about this and came up with a pet name for my beloved. I never mentioned to others. All I can say is, it works.
כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה, ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Please be seated. We continue on page 36.
Any of our teens want to come up and help lead? Go on. Sigal, I know you've been working on it. Come on. No. Maddie, Zachary, Sigal. Yes, excellent. Come on up. All right. Whenever you're ready. One. Whenever you're ready.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, ושרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Amen. Thank you, teens. Excellent work.
We continue now with Micha Mocha, the song that our forebears sang after they crossed the Sea of Reeds and they entered freedom.
Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha mocha nedar ba'kodesh, Nora tehilot, Nosef elev, Nora tehilot, Nosef elev. Malchotecha ra'ov anecha, Bokei hayam, Bnei Moshe o Miriam, Zeli, Ano ve'amro. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed.
At this point, we would like to invite one of our teens who has been singing beautifully from the pews for a while, and we thought we really want to showcase her amazing voice. We'd like to invite up Maddie Krantz to please lead us in our Hashkivenu prayer. Go over to his mic. What page is it on? That's a good question. 42. 43. All right. Take your time. It's okay. It's okay.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, v'hamnienu malkeinu l'hayim, ufros aleinu suka shlomecha, ufros aleinu suka shlomecha. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us hard wrong from right. Amen. 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 Amen.
Yasher Koach,
Yasher
future
Koach.
cancer. All right, go take a seat. Beautiful singing. Thank you so
Wonderful
much.
job, Maddie. Our thoughts now turn to those in need of healing, those in need of shlemut, the wholeness of healing, whether that be of mind, body, and soul. Our Misha Berach can be found on page 253.
שברך אבותינו מקור הברכה לאמותינו. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
We pray this Shabbat for the healing of Tsur Miriam Bat Hana Moshe, Jim Blattner, David Bolafi, Bob Fonero, Michael Gaines, Steve Gerbsman, Sima Grabovisky, William Kurian, Monica Levin, Agnes Rothblatt, and those whom we mention now.
שברך אמותינו מקור הברכה לאבותינו. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We continue now with Veshamru on page 44.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. בני ובן בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
In a moment, we'll turn to the Amidah, the central prayer of our service. But before we go to the Amidah, we pray for our ability to pray. Adonai Sefatai Tiftach is on page 46. Please rise.
Adonai Sefatai Tiftach, Ufi Agid Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואמהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם, בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך? מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. 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 ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. יא די 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 יא די 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 יא די 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 יא די. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו.
If you want to hear that setting with a beautiful six-piece band, please join us on December 10th for Nefesh Mountain, a wonderful Jewish bluegrass act, 7 p.m. At this point, we would like to invite our executive director to introduce our rabbi, our scholar in residence, and I believe that Gordon is the mastermind behind this weekend, so please take it away.
To the microphone. I'm not the sound guy, as you can tell. The sound guy would be much more skillful. Okay, there we go. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the sound guy. Let me just start off by saying I want to extend my apologies for the climate in the room. We have a broken steam pipe, if people haven't heard. And until we get that fixed, I can't turn the heat on without creating sort of a poaching sensation in the cantor's office. The cantor prefers not to be poached.
More of a sous vide kind of guy.
Yeah. So until I equip him with a plastic bag, yeah. So, okay, enough culinary jokes. Back in 2019, remember 2019? It was just before this fog that enveloped us that came out of the broken steam pipe. I got an email. So, where's Rabbi Graf? Oh, no, there we go. Okay, not Rabbi Kahn, Rabbi Graf. How many rabbis does it take to wave their hands? Forwarded me an email, and she wrote, "Have fun." And I think there were some little sunglass emojis on it. So I scrolled down, and it was an email of introduction from this fellow who said, "Hi, I'm a fellow ordained rabbi, and I'm writing to you because I'm in the cannabis business, and we're opening a dispensary around the corner from you. Would love to chat. P.S. We're moving into a church." And I scratched my head because I was like, well, St. Dominic's is moving? That seems odd. It was a little storefront church. I wasn't even aware it was there. It was right across the street from the Walgreens. Anyway, so I reached out to this fellow, and learned a little bit about who he was and how he came to be in this business. And he said, if you'd ever like me to come and talk about cannabis and Judaism, and I thought, well, that would be fun. We could do like a young adult program. And then we all got the flu. So a couple years went by, and we finally got him here to do a thing for young adults. And Talia, who our engagement director, walked up to me afterwards, and she said, all of these older people, as one of those older people, I feel your pain, said to me, well, where's our cannabis event? And I thought, that's a fair question. So I reached out to Rabbi Kahn again, and I said, hey, could we lure you back across the country to do something for people of other chronological descriptions? So I'm really pleased to have him here tonight. Tomorrow night at 7 p.m. down at Liberty Cannabis, which is just here at Bush and Fillmore, if you are a Gen Xer, if you aren't, you don't know. So if anybody's ever said "okay, boomer" to you, probably not a Gen Xer. If anybody said millennials to you, probably not a Gen Xer. If you are that small group in between, you know who you are. Join us. We're going to have a Gen X event, alternatives to wine. So that'll be lovely. And then on Sunday at noon, we're going to have a little lunch and learn for people of other chronological descriptions to talk about how cannabis and other hemp-derived products, is that a fair description? Hemp is cannabis. So cannabis-derived products, like CBD falls into the cannabis-derived products? Right. Not necessarily psychoactive. Right. Not necessarily psychoactive. Could be part of your healthcare regime. And we will provide bagels. The bagels will not contain anything untoward. The coffee will be caffeinated, however. So I hope if the talk tonight intrigues you, you will join us for one of those other events. So it's with great pleasure that I welcome Rabbi Kahn to the podium.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, everybody. So many things I'd like to talk about. I mean, first of all, why is coffee so good? Why is coffee okay? You know why? Because it makes people work harder. So in industrial societies, love it. In fact, most jobs will give you a break to go drink coffee. Cannabis, not so much. Maybe you take a break, you smoke cannabis, or you consume cannabis, and you start wondering, why am I spending the majority of my life sitting in someone else's desk working so that they can get rich and I can barely make it? So cannabis is not allowed. Coffee, allowed. Cannabis isn't new. Well, first of all, let me just say this. I am so happy to be here. Thank you, Rabbi Graf. Thank you, Cantor. Thank you, Executive Director. Thank you, everybody who makes this place run. It is a dream of mine to get to speak in, really in houses of worship about cannabis. I know that's an odd dream, probably one that nobody else here shares. But as someone who sees cannabis as an issue of justice, as somebody who knows that cannabis laws have been applied unevenly, that the majority of people arrested in this country for cannabis are black, the majority of people that go to jail in this country for cannabis are people of color, despite equivalent use patterns, it is an issue of justice. And when you get in trouble for cannabis, and you're, for example, hypothetically my brother, who hypothetically went to Rutgers and got pulled over twice in the same week for cannabis, it's not on his record. But when it's on your record, you're going to have a hard time getting student loans. You're going to have a hard time getting housing, public housing if you ever need it. There are many limitations that having a simple cannabis possession on your record brings to your life. So it is an issue of justice, and it has been my goal for a long time to get synagogues, churches, and mosques and other religious folks to take it seriously because lives depend on it. And not just those folks who are in jail, but if you consider that 70 to 100,000 people will have died in 2022 from opiate-related overdoses, when you consider that there's really not a great alternative to opiates as far as pain is concerned. If you have pain that isn't being met by Tylenol, but it's overkill to give you hydrocodone, well, what do they give you? You know, neuropathin. Neuropathin is what was. There's very few medications. Maybe there's a doctor here who could educate us more, but there's not a lot. So what happens is that codeine or opiates are given to a lot of folks for people who don't need it. And for most of us, we take it and it's nauseating or it's a relieving feeling. But for a few of us, life is never the same again. We feel a sense of peace that maybe we haven't ever felt in our life. And we begin chasing that sense of peace. And we begin being addicted. And addiction is killing a lot of folks in this country. And for a long time, cannabis has been seen as a gateway drug. But what we're finding and what research is finding is that cannabis is much more of an exit drug. That more, and for the fact, the very first time Maryland, where I live, saw a decrease in the number of opiate-related scripts and opiate-related deaths was the very first year the medical cannabis program came into existence. So if you're a people like our people who believe that every life is equivalent to a single universe, and you imagine 100,000 universes being destroyed this year, and that we could have saved one through a plant that has a safety profile that beats Tylenol, it's hard not to get up here and start really trying to convince people that this is more than just getting high. P.S. I have no problem if you just want to get high. That's my lead-in. So I was asked to do a Devar Torah, so I'm going to do a bit of a Devar Torah. Tomorrow and the next day, I'll talk more practically about cannabis for aging adults and how the fastest growing demographic of cannabis user in this country is females over the age of 60. And I'll also talk more about how I became involved in cannabis, which is largely a personal story related to my grandfather who had MS. I did not grow up in a cannabis-friendly family. My dad was a rabbi in a Reform synagogue. Not as pretty as this one, but 30 years on the pulpit. We had a Hugs, Not Drugs bumper sticker on my car. My parents were not fans of cannabis until my grandfather got MS. And then they were fans of just about anything that could bring relief to somebody who they were losing right before their eyes. So I'm happy to share more of that story later on. But let's talk about Chayesara. So, like most of my colleagues, I went to rabbinical school in search of purpose and greater meaning. I was blessed to grow up in a family with a fridge full of food, a plethora of great educational opportunities, and good health care. I had just about everything I needed to exist. But I was yearning for more. I had a spiritual deficit of sorts when I went to college. I really couldn't put my finger on it until I met the great-grandmother of a childhood friend named Edith. Now, Edith had survived the Holocaust, and she was a bright light. She lit up the room. She brought everyone around her up. She was the only person in her family to have survived the Holocaust. Now, when I asked her how she stayed so happy and so hopeful and positive given her past, she told me cannabis. No, she didn't say it. She said, Bubala. She said, surviving the Holocaust was the easy part. Learning to live again, learning to love again, to trust again, despite everything. That took real work. That took chutzpah. I suspect Edith would have gotten along well with the namesake of this week's parashah, Sarah. Now, Sarah, just to give context, was the beloved partner of our patriarch Avraham Avinu, and she lived a long life with Abraham, 127 years in all. And most of those years were hard years. Along with Abraham, Sarah was told, Lech lecha, to go forth, to leave everything she knew, to leave everyone she knew for a land unknown. She was forced to endure famine. She was kidnapped twice. And for nearly 90 years, she was barren. She even subjugated her own needs, allowing Avraham the benefit of having children with her handmaiden Hagar. She became pregnant, and she witnessed her husband nearly murder her only son, Isaac. I could go on, but I think you get the drift. It was not an easy life. And yet, despite all of that, our parashah describes Sarah as being blessed. She was blessed by God. She even was bestowed a new name. She went from being Sarai, princess, to Sarah, one who rules over all. So, from the looks of it, it seems like Sarah actually ruled over very little. Her life was largely dominated by events that were bigger than her, mostly out of her control. So what's the deal? What did she rule over? Well, contemporary scholar Rav Nissan Alpert, Avinu HaShalom, taught that Sarah's ability to rule came from her capacity to maintain equilibrium, serenity, and faith, not despite of her experiences, but in spite of all that had befallen her. Sarah was able to gain mastery over herself, at least at times. And honestly, I think that's the best any of us can do. Moments of mastery, momentary faith. And so I think our job is to do the same. We can't control the cards we're dealt. Sickness, betrayal, loss. Each of these things is normal. They happen to all of us. When Sarah, at the age of 90, was told she was pregnant, she had no control of anything but her response. And her response was, she laughed. Probably one of those laugh cries, but she laughed. Now, I'm not implying that she was using cannabis, again. Although cannabosum is one of the anointing oils in the Torah, and you'll find some rabbis who will tell you maybe that was cannabis. I'm not one of them, but it's coincidence, maybe. But the fact that the Torah places Sarah's story so early in the biblical lexicon speaks to its importance. Sarah teaches us what a blessed life looks like. And friends, it doesn't look that good always. It's not rainbows and puppies. Not everyone's grandkids go to Harvard, right? Not everyone finds the love of their lives. Not everyone has cute babies, well-behaved kids. A lot of us have really hard days. And we have experiences that are so absurd, you can only laugh. Now, at this moment, you might be wondering, oh, great, Rabbi, what does this have to do with cannabis? Well, for me, cannabis is one tool for finding new perspectives when I'm stuck. I've seen it used by social workers, assisting patients with suicidal ideation. That means they're obsessively thinking suicidal thoughts. And one puff off a vape pen can help pause those thoughts, can give them a break just long enough for a new thought, hopefully a more positive thought, to enter their head. I've seen it help veterans returning from combat re-enter civilian life. In fact, there's an entire organization in DC that I work with called Armor Down that helps veterans re-enter civilian life through mindfulness practice and through cannabis. Cannabis can make you quite sensitive. It's why people like to eat after using cannabis. Some people like to make love after using cannabis because it's your skin feels more sensitive. Music sounds better. It can also have the reverse effect if you take too much. things can be too much. So dose is very important, but these veterans are using cannabis and meditation to be present and to enter the present moment, helping stop obsessive thoughts, making space for new ideas. I've seen cannabis inspire patients, inspire parents to play more with their kids, to spend more time with their partners, and to come home earlier from work. I've seen it help people with AIDS eat who otherwise would be wasting away. For those who it truly helps, it can be life-changing. For those of you who it doesn't help, don't use it. We live in an age when medical cannabis is pretty well respected. I think we've made a lot of progress in the last decade or two, really, and started here in California. But many of us have yet to wrap our head around this idea of recreational cannabis. Recreational cannabis, right? It's seen as something lesser, to be getting intoxicated, looked down upon. However, I believe that all cannabis can be used for a holy purpose. Cannabis itself is like money. It's neutral. You can do good things with it, you can do bad things with it. But think about the word itself, recreation. Recreate, recreate, recreate. In America, right, we take breaks from work, we take Shabbat, we cease, we stop doing what we usually do, we make room for something else so that we can be reborn and remade again. And when we recreate, we break patterns of thinking, of behavior, and we give ourselves space to play and to do that which frees our mind and opens our hearts. So if you're interested in experiencing cannabis in this way, or you want to talk about intentions of how you can make that happen, come talk to me during the Oneg, or come visit Liberty Dispensary on Bush Street, or even you can reach out to me. Gordon has my contact info. But please know, cannabis is not the only way to find new perspectives in life, but it is one way. And I conclude my remarks tonight with the words of Yehuda Amichai, the great Israeli poet, and someone who believed a lot in finding new space and new ground for new thoughts. Yehuda Amichai said, "From the place where we are right, flowers will never grow in the spring. The place where we are right is hard and trampled like a yard, but doubts and loves, they dig up the world like a mole, like a plow, and a whisper will be heard in the place where the ruined house once stood." And with that, Shabbat Shalom. Thanks, Rabbi.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
When we come together, especially on Shabbat, we have the privilege to share some great news in addition to learning, thinking about Judaism in a new way. I don't know if many people have heard of Chaye Sarah and cannabis together in one sentence, but we now all have, so thank you. Thank you for enlightening us and for opening our minds, because that's really why we're here, is to think differently and also to share our lives. We would like to share together in this community some of the simchas, smachot, happy things that are going on. So please, Ruth.
This week, I had the privilege of joining a Zoom conference with some of our distant family that my brother has recently discovered, who were survivors and descendants of people who were killed during World War II when the Ukrainian Jews from Romany were marched into the forest and shot. And it was, you hear about stuff in history, when you can put faces and know that these are your people, it really brought an incredible feeling.
Wow, amazing. Where do they live?
Some live in Israel, some still live in the Ukraine, and some live in the United States.
Wow.
So, family I never knew about.
Amazing, amazing. Mazel tov on that connection. David?
Our son
Mazal tov. How can that be for parents who are 39? Amazing. It's like biblical math. That's awesome. Yes, Craig, please. Awesome. That's excellent. Mazal tov. Yay. Great news. Merlin, Sandy, would you like to introduce anybody in your row, perhaps? Perhaps. Welcome. We've heard a lot about you guys. Really happy to have you. Welcome. Welcome. Yes.
I got engaged since the last time I was at Shabbat.
Woo! Talia got engaged. Mazal tov. Do you know when you're getting married? Sometime. Great. That sounds like a great day to get married. Awesome. Okay, moving around. Yes, Diane.
So I'm going to ask Eric and Ruth to stand up. This is a little surprise. So on behalf of the Hills of Eternity Board, I want to thank the congregation because we announced the matching grant at Yom Kippur. And from that time until now, the congregation raised about $34,000. And last night at our board meeting, we authorized the matching funds, so we'll be sending a check-in for the preschool scholarship. So I want to thank everybody for what you gave.
Amazing.
That's a simcha for all of us. Thank you for enabling this to happen. All of your hard work and your leadership. Thank you. And everybody's generosity and excitement about something wonderful and new happening at Congregation Sherith Israel. Yes, you guys have hands up. Okay. There's a whole row of excitement. Gabby.
I just found out that I got a promotion.
Yay, mazel tov.
And that I'll be moving to a new division that's a $1 billion division of our company.
What will you be doing?
I'm going to be the director of strategic finance for 2 brands in the science and diagnostics division of Mars Petcare.
Very cool, mazel tov. That's excellent. Okay, more simchas in the same row. Tell us, Yulia.
Miriam would like to share that she learned how to make fire at school.
Awesome, now don't do it. That's excellent, love it. All this exciting learning. Oh, okay, way in the back.
Yes, I'm just visiting. I've been the last couple of weeks, but thank you for your share. Medical marijuana is one of the reasons I'm no longer on government assistance. Without that, I'd be having seizures all the time.
Awesome.
So yes, you gave a good speech. Thank you, sir.
Awesome, glad you were able to be here to learn from Rabbi Kahn. Cool. Jonathan.
I had a safe, wonderful, interesting trip to Israel, and very happy to be back, and was happy to be there too.
Welcome home, and we wished you a happy birthday from here, so hope it went all the way over there. Good. Your pictures were phenomenal, so we've all been traveling with you. Well, welcome home. Yes, Shira, please.
Sunday is our son's 53rd birthday. 52nd.
52nd. Well, it's COVID, so you can just add or subtract, whatever. Mazal tov. That's awesome. Mayaka, sorry, I'll be right back. Mayaka apparently had her hand up next. Howard.
Well, now that all the election results are in, it turned out much better in many places, and most of the people who tried to lie about what happened didn't get elected.
Good news. We can stay in the United States a little bit longer. That's awesome. Mayaka, I don't know if you're absolutely last. Do you want to be absolutely last? I don't know what your announcement is, but.
So I believe Cece and I got approval for the day for the next Old Rush Kabbalat, which is May 6th. So we're really excited about that. And we have a theme, but we won't tell anybody for a couple of months. Because I won't tell my daughter to start doing that, and I'm a poor person.
Well, is it Gold Rush related or is it totally unrelated to that?
You know, we think it's related.
Okay, I love it. Do we have a location?
We do have a location.
Is it secret?
No, this is part of what we're so excited about. It's going to be here. And I don't know if any of you had a chance to go over to the new side of the building recently, but there's a new floor, and they're repainted new. It is looking so much better. And Gordon may or may not have given us permission to use some outside spaces. He's still thinking about it. So one of our hopes is to highlight this kind of amazing space we've got and really love our space. So we're really excited.
Awesome. That's excellent. Okay, great. Anybody else have anything wonderful they want to celebrate with us? People who haven't been here in a long time? People who have never been here? You've been here.
Since I've been here. Last weekend was my son's bar mitzvah.
Mazel tov. Awesome. What synagogue? Was it at a synagogue?
Yeah.
Which one?
Temple Emmanuel in Warren Stones, Old Shul.
Very nice.
Adam Rosenblossom.
Oh, great. Mazel tov, mazel tov. He coordinates the clergy on the cruises, right? I believe so. I get regular emails from him. I have yet to be able to go. That's awesome. And Wendy and Daniel, not to call you guys out, but I haven't seen you in a while, and every time I see you here, I remember your beautiful wedding just on this bima. So, welcome home. It's really nice to be able to be back together, little by little, in this sanctuary. So, great. In honor of all of these wonderful things and all the people who are coming to join us and to make our community extra beautiful on this Shabbat, we will stand and join with the cantor as we thank God for giving us life, sustaining us, and enabling us to reach this day.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. Amen.
We remain standing and turn to page 282 for Aleinu, It Is Upon Us.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. We turn to page 295. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own Zichronam Livracha. May their memories be for a blessing. I'd like to invite the Kofton family to stand as we remember for Shloshim Nida Yulich, Sandy's mom. If you are observing Shiva or Shloshim, the first 7 or 30 days of mourning, please stand also and share a name with us. If you are observing the first year of mourning for a loved one, please stand and share a name with us. We remember in our congregation our Rabbi Emeritus, Rabbi Martin Wiener. The perpetual memorials in our congregation are Shoshana Hannah Asher and Joseph Sattler. On this Shabbat, we observe the following yahrzeits. Please stand also as your loved one's name is read. Leo Bernard, Marshall Lee Berniker, Bertha Feldman, Marjorie Freeman, Miriam Greenwald, Gertrude Key, Bernd Kolker, Rita Landy, Louis Landisman, Benno McMullen, Leon Marglis, William Parker, Michelle Platt Ross, Eunice Rice, Clara Leah Rothblatt, Morris Sheftel, Anita Silverstein, Larry Silverstein, Bertha Sucherman, Espir Zabrianskaya. If you are observing a yard site for someone whose name I have not mentioned, please stand and share that name with us. We stand together as one community now as we recite these words of Kaddish Yatom, thanking God for these lives. Yitkadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach yirtei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, b'agalau v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlam araba min shemaya v'chayim alinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Yaseh shalom alinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to mourners everywhere. And we say together, Amen. Please be seated. A few announcements. We know there's a lot more learning to be done with Rabbi Kahn this weekend. Information is on the leaflet. Tomorrow morning, Torah study will be, I believe, with Cantor Glaser.
Yes.
Okay, 9:15 on Zoom. Please join him and many fellow learners. Whatever your level of Hebrew knowledge or Torah study, you are welcome and invited to share your perspective. Other announcements? Well, they're on the leaflet, but is there anything not on the leaflet that you would like to emphasize?
I'm going to come up and emphasize. So, I'm not as diminutive as the rabbi. A few... Yes. I have nothing to say other than yes. A few people... so somebody emailed me shortly after the Israeli election and said, what's your reaction? Or does that require an essay? And I wrote back, disappointed, and now an essay. If you're interested in a little bit more of the essay piece, we're doing a piece on the 30th with Michael Koplow, who is the director of the Israel Policy Forum, which is a Washington-based think tank. And we're going to talk a little bit about, so what happened there? And what does it mean going forward? So it's on the leaflet. It'll be on Zoom. It'll be part of our From the Frontline series, which of course is at Wednesday, say it with me, at 5 p.m. Right, see, this is a great program. Yeah. Fantastic. So yes, so first you'll go to Liberty and then brace yourself. And the other thing I just want to plug is George's class, which is on Tuesday afternoons, is drawing in hordes of people. And I invite you to become amongst those who are becoming enlightened. I see there, David, you're attending this class. Would you recommend it?
Absolutely, it really is terrific.
And David is not an easy audience. He doesn't hand out A's like they're gummies. So we're just going to try and roll the pot jokes in here all week. So I do highly recommend that you check that out. Okay, and now I'm going to get away from the microphone.
I was just going to say there's only one of this series of 3 remaining this coming Tuesday, so please join George Altshuler and company for a really interesting conversation. It's drop-in, so it's okay, yes, that they have not been here before, if people have not been here. Wonderful. What else?
So just yap this evening. There is also, we are having a bone marrow donor drive downstairs in Bart Hall. It's mainly for 18 to 36s, but if you'd like more information, there is a person, Mindy, who is able to point you in the right direction there about becoming a donor. So please go and chat with her if you're interested. That's downstairs in Bart Hall. And then, obviously, Nefesh Mountain on December 10th. Very excited. We did a couple of pieces tonight, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Join me tomorrow for Torah study.
Awesome. We will conclude our service with Kiddush and Motzi, followed by Oseh Shalom. Please stand. The blessing is on page 5.
Thank you, Rabbi. We'll get there. Oh, wow. Full service. All right. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit. כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
I didn't even have a minute to go on Facebook today, so I have no idea
Really?
what's under this challah
It's
cover.
incredible.
Does it have something to do with Rabbi Kahn's visit?
Might want to make you eat a lot more, but it may inspire you to appreciate the challah more. But
Oh, nice!
it is a beautiful turkey challah.
No, come on.
The pink feathers are cranberry, the orange feathers are pumpkin. That's incredible.
For those of you who are not here every week, this has become a thing. We can't live without Ruth's challah every single week. So cranberry.
I don't even want to take a piece off. It's too pretty.
Pumpkin. You've outdone yourself. What could you do going forward? I don't know. Okay, all right.
All right, it's stuffed with real turkey. No, I'm kidding. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon.
We'll put this out at the Oneg, and you can taste all of them. We will conclude now on page 343 with Oseh Shalom.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. יאי די 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 עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן.
Shabbat Shalom!
Shabbat
Hug
shalom.
everybody!
Thank you so much to Jonathan. It's great to have him back. And thank you to Peter. And thank you to Zach.